Without further ado, I will hand things off to Georgios, who's going to talk about cloud native managed Wi-Fi, which is probably the very first use case that people have been using USB for.
So good morning. It's very morning. So I'm George. I'm head of cloud and applications in Nokia for broadband devices. And I'm going to present a few, I believe, interesting things. So you're going to be the judge about how we progress with cloud native management in Wi-Fi, but also in containerized applications. But first of all, I would like to mention that Nokia, and particularly our area, Broadband Devices, is member of Wireless Broadband Alliance, of course, Wi-Fi Alliance, Purple Foundation, Cloud Native Foundation, CNCF, and of course, Broadband Forum. We have a few members working around these groups. We do collaborate on different venues for different areas. And at the same time, we develop and maintain open source applications like Corteca Development Toolkit. So a few things about Corteca. Corteca is a solution. It's not something specific. It's not devices, cloud, or applications. It's all of them. It comprises from Corteca Cloud. It's a Wi-Fi management software as a service in most of the cases. We have fiber devices, Wi-Fi, and fixed wireless access devices that they are powered by Corteca device software, as we call it. It's Corteca operating system, more unofficially. And of course, lately, the last year, we also have Corteca applications, which we host with a marketplace under USB and the power of open standards. So Corteca enable actually the future software-defined broadband in many ways. Our Wi-Fi management is USB driven. The standards are based on remote controls and diagnostics. So we actually doing monitoring and lots of other control and management through USB. USB is our first protocol that we support. And in many deployments today, we do manage all the devices that we have, but not only Nokia devices, from USB, with the power of USB. We do have several deployments all over the world that they basically support, besides Nokia ONTs, beacons, or FWAs. They support also other vendors that they, of course, are compliant with USB standards. Lately, the last 8 months, I want to believe, to be accurate, we do support also Purple LCM within Corteca device software. It's a puristic Purple LCM implementation. It's basically the open source Purple LCM untouched to the big extent. We try also to communicate our contributions to the community. So we basically have 100% parity with the Purple LCM. We try also for some other interfaces there, but we support containers on top of Corteca devices. Some particular devices, not the whole, but the whole portfolio of our devices, because you can understand it's like 300 devices. So we support the most new ones. So, and finally, we have Corteca Development Toolkit, which is our new tool. It's open source tool that we created last year. That tool, it came out of necessity before we engaged actually with Purple community. That tool came out of necessity for us, for our container framework, to make containers fast, reliably, and automated. I mean, we develop the containers and then build them automated. So as you're going to see later on, it's a tool that helps you to basically create containers. Today, we support also Purple LCM, our flavor so far in our devices, but we are working on make it available for Purple LCM vanilla implementations, let's say. So what is Corteca Cloud? Corteca Cloud, as I mentioned, is a Wi-Fi management platform which also combines device management and application management. We do host several services around Corteca Cloud name. So real-time monitoring, proactive troubleshooting, predictive at some point in the future, we want to hope, and Wi-Fi optimization and performance monitoring are the strong points of Wi-Fi management platform. And all of these actually couldn't happen without the USB support, without the USB power and the open standards. So that's why we're here. That's why we're working on several venues in order to make it happen and to help the community actually to grow towards this direction. On top of that, device management is actually another a set of features, another domain that we basically control, which it's apart from, besides our devices, as I mentioned, also other devices, USB compatible. And finally, our latest feature, it's the application management, it's the LCM. So we do have a marketplace. I want to believe it's one of the first in the market. We do have a marketplace which manages containers based again on the USB. So we have, as today, a number of containers that they are dedicated for our services. So Corteca aligns 100% with OMYI. Sorry for that. Corteca Cloud can control Purple LCM, Purple OS, but also RDKB hosts. Of course, besides Corteca device software. So it's based upon open standards. We do support Tier 181, we do support Tier 369, and of course, we support EasyMesh and data elements. We also support OpenWRT and Purple LCM on our devices, meaning that the device software that I mentioned before, it is based on OpenWRT and do have implement Purple LCM. And you can see the diagram, we do have a very transparent way of, and I missed an arrow there in the diagram. So a very transparent way of actually managing our systems. So we do actually work on make it a little bit more flexible. You're going to see in the next slides, especially around the container management and the USB implementations. So what about containers? So containers today, in containers domain today, we do have support for Purple LCM, as I mentioned, which is our newest feature. So we do support privileged containers today. We don't support unprivileged, it's on our roadmap. Generally, the purple colored items are in the roadmap. So we do support an important number of containers today, which they are available through our marketplace. So based on this marketplace, we do actually host a OCI registry. We do actually manage to create containers via the Corteca development toolkit, as I mentioned before. So all of our containers are in a sense secured by our Corteca development toolkit. And on top of that, we are planning to include secure signed containers via the OCI. So on top of that, one of the few features that we're going to introduce the next few months, I want to believe before this year, the end of the year, it's container ACLs along with unprivileged containers, which is, I believe, one of the key features for us to develop even more useful containers for our systems. We also plan to include some extra functionalities on these containers in the future. We'll see how, based on the implementation of unprivileged containers, this will go. So I mentioned a lot about Corteca Development Toolkit. I know it's something I like to talk about. So Corteca Development Toolkit, as I mentioned before, it was a tool that, one of these tools that we created because we needed it at the time. We created before Purple LCM. It wasn't supporting OCI containers at the beginning. It was supporting base LXC containers. We wanted, as I mentioned, we have a lot of devices and we support containers to many of them. So building containers for those devices, as you can understand, it's not the easiest job. manage from software perspective. So we wanted a tool so we can integrate it to our pipelines very fast, very easy, and then we can go forward and use these containers to our loads of devices. So in short, Cortega Development Toolkit helped us to improve our pipelines at the time. So down in the road, we went and implemented Purple LCM. So we upgraded our tool. Of course, it was open source from the beginning, but we upgraded our tool to support Purple LCM and OCI. So we simplified the tool basically with our implementation for OCI. So and now today we do support Purple LCM with various containers. So Cortega Development Toolkit comprises from 4 things. One is the CLI that we have, which is basically an interface that helps you to interactively create containers. Of course, we do support flags and different other setups. So we support also configuration. So you can basically throw your configuration from container to container and reproduce that if you want. We create and build applications through this tool. We do compile natively, meaning that we're using Docker and Docker technologies in order to make it possible to compile in the native architecture. We ensure format of the application metadata. We do include there that's our difference that we need to basically generalize at some point and be more Purple compatible. We do use some metadata for our marketplace, things that we need like logos, descriptions for the customers, etc., for the containers, etc. So we do package, of course, our application by CNCF and OCI standards. We do follow all the OCI regulations on top of this. So the compilation tool we provide, they're basically open source, so we don't restrict the users from the compilation tools in every platform, in every SDK. So with virtually every open source library is available. I will explain later why. And we use default, this is the later, Alpine version. So Alpine, it's been very useful for us. It's one of these distributions that it's basically standard in container world for some time now. There are some caveats coming with using Alpine. However, the community is very active. We do support APK inside the containers, meaning that we can actually handle packages very efficiently. Therefore, we can use them to enable our developers using Cortega Development Toolkit to create lots of applications with their dependency dynamically linked, which can lead also to some other licensing problems in the future. So solutions actually to problems, to licensing problems. So that's one part. We're going to see later on how the containers are created. So one more functionality of the Cortega Development Toolkit, it is CI/CD ready. We created that tool, actually, that was the first and the sole purpose in the beginning. So if something we can do well with this tool, it's CI/CD. So we do have support for flags. We do have support for configuration. It's, of course, interactive if you want. But we support every possible scenario. You can imagine, probably, if you find something, please let me know. It will be very interesting to see that. Every possible scenario of a modern CI/CD. So basically, we do have also different CI/CDs, and we can definitely rely on this tool to make it happen. One more feature that, to be honest with you, in the beginning of the development, I was a little bit hesitant to advertise, in a sense, is the dev containers. But down in the road, as we used the Cortega Development Toolkit with many developers, not only Nokia, of course, but also third-party developers, and I believe there are some of you already in the room. So the feedback that we got from dev containers, it's very good. Actually, in many cases, it helps the developers to focus on the development environment at their own workstation without worrying about offloading to devices, etc. So at least a big portion of the development is happening without the hassle of having to offload your application to, or sideload your application to devices. And finally, another feature that is not there yet, but we're hoping at some point to reach that level of maturity, probably the next year, is the Corteca software emulation service. So we are already supporting internally for Nokia some emulation environments for our devices. However, you can understand, especially in these devices, emulation can be tedious in many ways. So we do support emulation flows into Corteca Development Toolkit internally so far, but we're thinking to expand this, supporting others. And with the upcoming Purple OS and general progress into this area, we're hoping at some point that we're going to be able to emulate Purple OS. And this way you can actually emulate your container behavior much more efficiently. So I mentioned before that we're using Alpine, but it's not just a Docker file. What we're trying to do with the Corteca Development Toolkit is to simplify the way that containers are built, and besides simplify, make it also more secure. So when you configure, of course, you can scan the QR code and you can go, I like QR codes, you're going to see them in every page. So you can see it on GitHub. So what we try to do is we configure basically any container on the beginning. So we track the metadata that we want. We do have basic toolchain configuration that you might need, for example, some flags for your compiler if you do use compilers, etc. We have some security configurations. Basically, you choose how to compile the application on security standards. You can include, of course, open source libraries, and we support APK. So basically, you can tell to APK what to include. And the base image, as I mentioned before, it's Alpine Linux. So after having this configuration, what we can do is basically building for architecture, and we build for architecture in RV7 or RV8. We do support also agnostic architecture, but it's not working in known devices that we have. So, and we can secure, it's optional. I mean, here you can, from that point on, you can select your options. So you can choose to remove all the non-dependent binaries, meaning that it's going to be much more efficient and faster and more secure, of course, for your container release. So we do support multi-architecture containers. So basically, you can build a container, and if your device supports, you can use the multi-architecture. However, in today's known implementations of Purple LCM, we cannot assume that as a realistic feature. It's something that we probably need to explore down in the road with Purple Foundation, supporting Purple CRAN or Containerd, because LXC has its limitation in this area. So we include libubus and other libraries in our containers. Of course, you can include Ambiorix for vanilla Purple LCM, Purple OS implementations. And we do support in our roadmap USB service. So we're going to support USB service inside the container and the broker in the device. And we're thinking to support it as a library. If not possible, probably we're going to create some open source library for this. And then you can change also the base Linux image. Of course, we do recommend in this stage to use Alpine. However, you have the freedom to choose build root or whatever Docker image compatible you want. I mean, you can use even Ubuntu if you have 2 GB of storage in these devices. You are more than welcome. So finally, a few things to digest about Corteca. It's 100% ready for CI/CD. It's our main recommendation for this tool in any case. So in our command line interface, we support onboarding existing applications. Basically, you can offload your binaries inside the Corteca Development Toolkit and then create a container. We support building from scratch, so you can compile the container. We support dependency management, and we develop development and debugging containers that they can help you to go through your development cycles. And then we generate dev containers for your convenience in development time. All of these features, they help developers to speed up in their application development process and actual integration to devices. I think that it's something that enables the users to make containers more approachable, let's say, to development. So a few other features that we have is for testing, basically, it's deploy it to device. So far, as I mentioned, we support our own devices on this, but we plan to include tier 69 and also tier 389 support in the future. So we can deploy into the devices through them. But today we deploy through bus, basically, as I say it. So, and then we do support testing sequences, meaning that you can use it, the Cortega development toolkit, to run some sequences over your containers. Finally, it's CNCF and OCI conformant, and it's open source. It's a BSD Nokia license. Thank you. I don't know if you have any questions or something else. So there's more than time, right?
Thank you very much, Georgios. Does anyone have any immediate questions? I know I have a few, but I'll go with yours first. Yes.
Hi, Mateusz from Marketeera. We are the CPU vendor, and I agree with Jason that the Wi-Fi management is the first USB use case our customers come with. We've heard about the Nokia, specifically Nokia.
Can you a little bit higher? I cannot hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we've heard about the Nokia Wi-Fi management already a few years back from our customers. And back then, we've seen the requirements, including several vendor-specific elements in the data model. So my first question is, if it's this situation right now, or is Nokia Wi-Fi management working with the fully standardized data model, or is there something missing in the? Okay, that's perfect.
It's a valid question. As of today, yes, it's working, especially in the latest in the latest releases of our firmware that we have. You're referring to beacons, right? You're referring to beacons.
No, to the data model that is used by the Wi-Fi management.
Yeah, but
TR181.
Yeah, I understood it. But for which devices of ours? Because I told you we have 300 devices.
Simply any device that could be managed by Nokia.
There are devices that are discontinued, but from development, I mean, and we don't support the software anymore. But in the devices that we do support the software, our Wi-Fi data model it's actually pretty standard. Yeah.
Okay. My other question is Purple related. So is the Nokia Wi-Fi management already tested and planned to be tested with Purple Mesh 5.1?
Sorry, I didn't get your question. Can you?
Purple Mesh is Wi-Fi management already tested with Purple Mesh 5.1?
Yeah,
are there
that's also a good question. But yeah, it's not something I'm going to answer now. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
It's something we're exploring, and definitely we want to see how Purple Mesh is going to grow. I have colleagues that they work closely with Purple Foundation. Actually, we're members of the board of Purple Foundation, and we're helping in a few projects there. So the situation I know from my colleagues is that we're basically exploring right now Purple Mesh, and we want to see more or even help more. We do have today Easy Mesh, which is also a standard. And we do support that in all of our devices that they have Wi-Fi, also Wi-Fi 7.
Hey, good morning. This is Peter Steinhauser, Embed. A very quick question. You are using a lot of Alpine containers, and with OpenWRT now moving to Alpine as a packet manager in mainline, is this making your life easier, or does it change anything for the dev kit?
Yeah, I can speak probably 2 hours about that, Peter. Thank you for that question.
Okay, great.
So let's order something. Our life, it's much easier after using Alpine, therefore APK. So package management, it's a revolution to computing world and the Linux world the last 25 to 30 years. I mean, I've been some years ago to many events of Linux Foundation with Debian people fighting a lot around package management. I've lived that word very closely, trust me. And what we've seen from our experience, not my personal experience only, but also the community experience of open source, through the package management is a very essential tool for distributing not only applications, but also bigger concepts like solutions, etc. And I can name a few areas that it's affecting, let's say, positively, both our experience, but also open source community. It's security. You have your software bombs. You can actually examine the trail of your packages and also the licenses, etc. Convenience on dependency management. You can actually have dependency management, which is the basic benefit of this. And on top of that, you have actually distribution benefits, meaning that I'm creating this package and I can distribute it to everybody with under this license or the other license, wherever. Dual licensing also could be possible. So that's only the three top and high level, let's say, benefits of APK as of today, and every package management, to be honest. I don't want to be very patriotic about the APK, but generally. So, and our experience using APK in containers is that ramp up our development. I'm not going to give you numbers, but let's say that we developed in a number of 7 or 9 months, a very significant amount of containers without having the hassle of tracking our libraries, having security issues, and basically we managed to onboard a few people into this process for a very short time. So it speeded up a lot our efficiency to create containers and our partners' efficiency. To be honest, I had this discussion with third parties in the past that they didn't actually wanted to go into APK. And I said, okay, let's try it, let's see. We helped them towards this direction, and they saw and understood the efficiency improvements.
Okay. And in terms of OpenWRT moving in mainline to APK, since Corteca is also using OpenWRT as a baseline, is this simplifying things for you as well?
We're actually, yeah, it's simplifying. Actually, we are trying to improve also our internal software building using APK. And IPK so far. So we try to create our streamlines in a way, software streamlines in a way to support packaging. So we're developing features like that internally for our OpenWRT flavor, Corteca operating system, to support packages directly. So basically, you know, one thing that I didn't mention in containers, but it makes total sense for these devices, is the scaling you can have with packaging, right? So even if I have 6 or 10 or even 20 packages for different devices, it's even faster and easier for me to handle the packages instead of the firmwares. So as I mentioned, Nokia has 294 devices today, exactly, BBD. So broadband devices. Those are ONTs, FWA, and beacons. So as you can imagine, we cannot control and manage at all given moment, at any given moment, 294 firmwares. We can, because we do it today, but it's not efficient. And what we try and hope to improve is our efficiency using APK and packages in the future.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Georgios? I was actually going to ask on well, two things. If you could maybe fill everyone in on the open managed OMY. What are they calling it? Yeah, just where that comes from and why that architecture is the thing that we would even bother to point at in a slide. Because I think it'd be helpful to fill people in on how that got done, because that was an actual external organization to the Broadband Forum that created that, right?
Yeah. It's not so significant as you might think.
I know.
I mean, it's just in a slide, yeah. But it's a representation, let's say, to my intention for this slide was that I wanted to make visible that we support open standards, open source, of course, on top of that, but also we are easy, let's say, to integrate. So that was my only intent with this. Yes.
And the other question I had was just on the behind the scenes on the Corteca Cloud side. you don't have to go into too much detail on this, but if it's taking advantage of the multi-controller architecture at all, right? Maybe just farming off different functions to different things, but even if at the end of the day the user sees one thing, I didn't know.
Yeah, in the way we scale in Corteca Cloud, we do actually do things like that. We do have very big deployments as of today. I'm trying to think, but it's probably the scaling which actually drives this kind of initiatives internally. So yeah, definitely we're exploring and we're investing on this by development time a lot.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.